But when it comes to this sort of like online presence stuff,
Right.
you guys are really good at it. And
Thank you. Oh my God.
Props to you, because it's like, it's not my thing.
It's hard to figure out what resonates with people and like what doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to find your kind of crowd or your direct audience of what you're trying to do, but it doesn't always work. It's like a hit or miss. You just trial and error.
And sometimes crowd finds you and you weren't looking for them. I
Yeah.
mean, like we got like a bunch of like classic rock fans now paying attention to us.
Because we did like a Renegade cover.
Well, that, and then there was another like TikTok that was like about like riffs that Guitar Center employees are tired of hearing, and it's like those like two things like I feel like just really resonated with the boomers, and now they're paying attention, and it's like we definitely weren't shooting for that.
Yeah,
but we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
I saw that. That was so clever. Like that is like, hey, here. We have to be so what's the word? Unexpecting, but like not about ourselves. Like we have to be very, very obviously not conceited and you have to be like anti-narcissistic. That's the word.
Can we put that new word in the dictionary, please? Like that is the word.
Unnarcissistic. It's the way to new fans clicks, and that was a clever way for you guys to do it in your niche, because it was like, this is the kind of music that we play, and it's for people who are into alternative hard rock, but you're not gonna get them by just posting your own music, which is so backwards, like so many things. So that's was
definitely
really smart.
what we've learned. Yeah, you have to like lure. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Lure.
Those are
lure, like fishing.
You have to lure people in with music that they already know, and if you do that well enough, they're like, like they're cool. I'll check their actual music out. But I feel like the music you make doesn't always get the same attention as what you cover. But I don't know, maybe eventually it'll get there.
Yeah, I mean it's a little frustrating sometimes where it's like we get like that one dumb TikTok that I did in like 10 minutes got like, I think it's at 700,000 now, and our actual music video has like 3,000 views on YouTube, and I'm like, what the hell, man? One of these took way more effort. One of these like was actually something we like really cared about, but it's just kind of the name of the game is just whatever people pay attention to, they pay attention to.
Because they're not familiar with our stuff. They're just familiar with what they like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can convert 10% of those 700,000 listeners to check out Hoity-Toity,
right?
Like you've done your job really well.
It's still a win, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And we did see like it's been gradual, but like we have seen like we went from I think like 700 monthly listeners on Spotify, 700, 800 to like, I think we're at 1,200 right now, which isn't as big of a jump as like our TikTok and Instagram following. So like not as many people are actually listening to the music, but it's still, you can tell that more people are than they were before,
Yeah, people love the content.
It's like you said, like 10% of the people actually start listening to music. It's still a victory,
Yeah, totally. And it's a little backwards, but it's kind of always been this way for artists in the sense that, like you said, that video took you 10 minutes to make. And Jimmy Eat World has an interesting podcast like this right now where he talks about how he made the middle in like 10 minutes. Like that song was just kind of like here's a 80s sounding idea. And then they wrote the song. And then they were like, this probably won't make the record. And then the producer was like, I think it will. And he added some touches to it. And then that ended up being like their biggest song. Yeah. And so that's kind of always been a thing where it's like when you don't try hard at all, your catchiness or whatever draws new listeners in, or the difference from what you've been working so hard on, shines through, and then people are like, hey, I actually really like the whole record. I actually really like their whole discography. So that still kind of happens, but now we're in like the 10-second attention span zone.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Things you wouldn't expect for people to like enjoy that much, they do.
I mean, it's like one of the things about like trying to get people's attention is like they have trailers for movie trailers now, you know, like it's the kind of thing where like you really need to just catch people like that, you know? Like,
if you're not capturing their attention in the first like 0.1 second, like what are you doing? Like, I guess like you can't. It's hard.
Yeah, that is really tough. But this is like a reason why I wanted to do this podcast too, is to like get some of my friends and new artists that aren't getting the exposure they deserve, much like I hear all the time, like you deserve so much more of a following, and maybe like a 5-minute clip out of these podcasts where, you know, everybody can relate about whatever the 5 minutes is about. You know,
right, exactly.
It's hard for me to pinpoint, or I talk about it all the time, but you know, maybe just a little segment of it gets people to understand where we're coming from as DIY artists, and then, you know, a bunch of people go check out Hoity-Toity, or they check out my back catalog, and it becomes, you know, their new favorite band. If it's up their alley, if it's what they're looking for, if it resonates with them at this point in their life, then we're doing something. We're finding them.
Yeah, I say just like do what you want, and then it's up for the people to decide if they like you or not. But
yeah.